All right. Bezrat Hashem, Naseh v'natzliach, v'Hashem barachamav aleinu yarviach. Tov. So we are just a few nights before the big night, before perhaps the biggest night ever. Things are, one may say, spiraling out of control. Others may say that they're spiraling in control, exactly according to the plan of the master, the king, the Borei Olam, the ruler of the universe. And who knows? Who knows if this will be the final Pesach before the Mashiach or not? But certainly, according to all the opinions, we're getting very, very close. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, and this shiur is really, it's a must. If you haven't gone through a Hilchas Pesach shiur, or if it's been a couple of years, you really, really need to listen to this shiur, because the laws of Pesach is something that if you don't review it, if you don't go over it, you're bound to make a mistake. And the laws of Pesach are very strict, more than anything else. Even a little amount of chazir, of pork, if it gets mixed in a certain amount of kosher food, we could say that it's nullified. But not so with chametz. Not so with chametz. Even a tiniest amount stays and could make everything chametz. So before we get into all that, I just want to give a very brief introduction to what is going on here, because somebody looking from the outside could get really confused and not understand why we're going so crazy looking for bread. Imagine you have a person that doesn't know anything about Jews, and you go to Meir Sharim, you go to Bnei Brak, and you see thousands of Jews running like almost like madmen, looking and spraying and cleaning and wiping and hosing things down, and yes, what are they cleaning for? Is it corona? Is there another disease? God forbid. No, bread, looking for bread. And somewhere in the distance, you hear a little kid scream out, "Chametz!" He found a piece of bread. Nobody would understand what's going on. So, I want to explain like this: when we sit at the Leila Seder, and it's the same, when we sit on Hanukkah night and light the candles, or when we sat a few months ago at the Purim festival. When we sit in our Sukkot, what we're not doing is just recalling history. What we're not doing is commemorating. I hate that word, commemorating. We're gathered here to commemorate. No commemorating here. It's not about remembering what happened. Not at all. Anyone that thinks that that's what it's about is sorely mistaken. Chazal teach us that Avram Avinu, even Adam Rishon, they celebrated these holidays even before they happened, which technically doesn't make sense. If we're commemorating, then why are you commemorating something that didn't even happen? So it's something different. So we started by saying that everything's spiraling out of control. So let's stay with that spiral. What is a spiral? Spiral is a circle that keeps going down or up, depending on how you look at it. So time is not a straight line. Time in Judaism is a spiral. And once you go around a full circle, I think it's a full 360, that's a year. And then another time around is a year. And then if you put a line, that line is the different dates. And that line is the different holidays. Meaning time has specific dates that correspond within it, that have specific power, that have specific energy to it. And that's what this is all about. When Pesach falls on the 15th of Nisan, the power of Pesach comes into the world. when Hanukkah falls out on Chafei, the 25th of Kislev, the power, the strength of Hanukkah, the gift, the spiritual blessing of Hanukkah comes into the world. So every Jewish holiday in its time, corresponding to that spiral, it comes into the world. And one that taps into it, one that connects into it, is able to receive tremendous, tremendous blessing, bounty of blessing. So what is the blessing of Pesach? The blessing of Pesach is the most important blessing there is. I mean, they're all the most important, but the blessing of Pesach is this. It's freedom from bondage, right? No surprise here. It's freedom from bondage. And the message of Pesach, of Passover, is repeated over and over and over again. Zecher li'etziat Mitzrayim. We're reminded that this is to remind us of the exodus of Egypt. Over every Shabbos, every festival, we say it. It's all over the place. In the Shema, Zecher li'etziat Mitzrayim, we always remind. Why are we always reminding ourselves? Again, we're not commemorating. Don't you dare say commemorating. What does it mean? We're reminding ourselves that the power exists to redeem ourselves from slavery. The power exists to take ourselves out from slavery, from addictions, from everything that's holding us back. Everybody on their own level has those things that hold them back. Those things that they keep falling, and they fall again, and they fall again. They can't get past it no matter what. They keep falling. Or they get to a certain level and they can't get past. Everyone has their own barrier, whether it's addiction to, some people they need the feeling of power, they need respect. Some people have run after pleasures of food, of drugs, of the opposite sex, of the same sex, of some people are addicted to, pardon me here, but I use this for good reasons, gadgets, right? The iPads, and I'll leave it like that. Games, technology, news, SMS, WhatsApp. It's endless. It's endless. The power of Pesach, the power of Passover, is to connect to realigning ourselves, to taking control of our lives again, to taking the reins over our lives again, and controlling. I'm in charge. I'm in control of my life. I'm not a slave to this. I'm not a slave to that. It's reinventing yourself. It's reminding yourself that you could break free from Paro. You could break free from all the chains of bondage that hold us back. Everyone in every different way that it exists. That's what Pesach is all about. And how do we get this spiritual blessing? How do we get it? So you need to connect into the specific mitzvot of the Seder night and the rest of the days of Pesach. So for the first thing is chametz. By disconnecting ourselves from leaven, from this mixture of water and flour and the yeast that wants to just grow and grow and grow and grow, by completely disconnecting ourselves from that, completely, 100%, not 99.9%, because if there's a little bit, it's alive. Anyone ever saw yeast? It's alive. It's growing. And even if you have a tiny percentage, it'll grow and grow. It's the story of Amalek, right? That Agag, the king of Amalek, was left alive, and Amalek was able to repopulate. So here too, with a little bit of chametz, a little bit, it can grow. So if we completely separate ourselves from that entirely, that gives us the vessels, that gives us the strength, and the specific mitzvot of the most amazing night of the year, the Seder night. If we connect to that and we do it according to the law, the right way, then we get these powers. Of course, we need to do that work. Everyone needs to identify what it is that's holding them back, to try and connect again to who we are, to connect to Hashem. to connect to spirituality. And if we do that, and we have the mitzvot of that night and the power of Pesach, then the blessing is amazing. Because how many great people have had their lives ruined because of addictions? How many great, tremendous potential people have had that have not lived up to it because of all the different addictions and things that are holding people back. So this blessing is above all. Now we're going to get into the specific laws, because one of the most frustrating things is I've been to many different seders. One of the most frustrating things is to see Orthodox Jews, and they go through the seder and they don't, you see that they're not doing things according to the halakha. It's so frustrating because it's so powerful. And how could you be at the seder and not do things according to the law, like how you're supposed to do it? Like when we're taking the first bite of matzah, a person takes a tiny little nibble of the matzah. It's a shainda. So okay, let's delve into things and get into the laws, and make sure that we will have this blessing, that we will fulfill all the laws of Pesach 100%. Okay, now we're going to try something cool here, and we're going to go to share your screen. This is new to Discord. Share your screen. Where are we? Second. Screen, entire screen. Yes. And this is good. Go live. Whoa! Yeah, there we go. Okay, this is much better. You should be seeing now my my browser. If somebody, look at this. If somebody could just let me know, I'm going to put this down so we won't be able to see it. If somebody could just speak and let me know that you're seeing this, that everything is okay. Anyone? I guess I'm going to have to go back here. Maybe it's just somebody write to me and let me know that it's working, that you're seeing my screen. Let's see. Okay, great. Perfect. All right, so I have a bunch of different sources here. We're going to go through a few of them. Some of them overlap, some underlap, but we'll get a bunch of different information from a few different sources. Okay. So we have here the Shulchan Aruch. We have a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We have visual aids that'll help us to visualize exactly what the amounts are. And one more thing I just got to get. Here it is. Okay, this is a pamphlet that the OU put out. I will add it to the Discord. There's a section for Pesach useful things. I'll add that over there. Okay. So let's start with the cleaning. So everyone wants to know what needs to be cleaned, what doesn't need to be cleaned. So Chazal have a very simple approach, and the approach is anywhere where chametz enters needs to be cleaned, right? If you have a certain area, well, first of all, anything that you own needs to be checked. For the most part, unless you're renting it out to somebody else and it's in their they're renting it from you. But anything, if you have an office that you rent out, car that you rent out, if you have a kindergarten, we had a number of years ago a kindergarten building that was ours. Everything is under your property. Everything needs to be checked. Sometimes people have a custom of just leaving their house and going to a hotel, not checking and not at least putting the chametz in a certain area. That's not a good custom. The process of searching for chametz is something that, again, it connects to the spiritual aspect. It's something that needs to be done. So the entire home must be cleaned of all edible chametz. Check anywhere where chametz may have entered during the year. Now, if you're a bit older, then certain areas you can rule out. I don't know if you have a garage or a basement. I don't have any of those things. But I don't know if you have a workspace or something where food never enters. So technically, you don't need to check those areas. But if you have kids, Chazal say that everywhere needs to be checked because kids go everywhere. And it's also important to mention when it comes to kids, the tick, their bag that they take to school is a place where often chametz is found. Okay, so the first aspect is cleaning. We'll get into cleaning. We'll get into a little bit more detail of cleaning, but we'll move forward with what we have here. Selling chametz. Selling chametz is for many years it was questionable. Lately, it's become much more acceptable. The original sources mentioned selling chametz typically for a person that had a large amount of chametz, and if he had to get rid of it, it would be a huge financial loss for him. Typically, a baker, a guy that he can't just, get rid of all of his flour. Usually, already going back, 50 years, 70 years, people would buy large amounts of flour and be stored, almost for the whole year. It extended and extended and extended and extended to be the custom that just about everyone sells chametz. For many years, it was sort of frowned upon. It's become the accepted custom today that people sell their chametz. But I would say it's better to get rid of your chametz. If you have, don't save a half a piece of pita. Don't save, an open package of pasta that's going to cost you, 45 cents to buy a new one. If possible, it's always better to get rid of all your chametz and throw everything away, and also sell. But don't try not to rely on selling unless you have large amounts, which is acceptable. It's fine. You have a huge Scotch collection, which is gonna cost you a lot of money. But it better to get rid of all your chametz. If you can't, then you can certainly rely on the selling. Okay, what exactly is chametz? That you should know. We're going to assume here that anything that does not say that is kosher for Passover is considered chametz. Actually, and anything that's even there was a question of shampoos. Some shampoos had wheat kernels in it. So anything that so the question here is if it's an item which it has chametz, but it's not typically a food. So the answer is anything that's edible by a dog, anything that a dog would eat. So if we look at shampoo, I don't think a dog is going to eat shampoo. Reminds me of a funny story. I had an uncle that I told him he needs to clean the grating for the grill for Pesach. He can't just use the same grating. It needs to be kosher. And he said, no, it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. It's not edible for. It's not a dog wouldn't eat it. So literally within 5 minutes, his dog went over to the grill and started licking the grill. Okay. But if it's a food or not a food, if it's something that technically has chametz, but a dog wouldn't eat it, it's not considered food. Okay, bedikat chametz. 1 second. Before we get there, I want to go somewhere else. Yeah, let's fast forward here. Okay, I don't want to get too bogged down in this, but we'll briefly touch it. How we make kosher certain utensils. So basically, the house should be mostly done by now. Tomorrow should be the final clean. To the extent that by the end of tomorrow, the house should be completely kosher for Pesach. So there are a few different ways that different utensils are kosher. They're made kosher, or here what we're referring to is they're made usable for Pesach. Now there's what's known as libum gamor, which I wouldn't recommend. That's using a blowtorch and heating something till it's extremely, extremely hot. Hagala, that is something that's used today. That is something that most Jewish communities have a person that does this, and one is able to bring certain dishes, utensils that they want to use for Pesach. This is done by taking a pot which is not used for 24 hours, that is completely clean, no stickers or anything, and the water is boiled, and then the utensils or the kiddush cup, whatever it is dunked in and taken out, and cold water is poured over it. Then it is kosher. It can be used for Pesach. Okay, let's see. The kitchen. So we have here pots. So these pots can be koshered. They can be prepared and made kosher for Pesach by dunking them in boiling water. Coffee makers, the ones that are plastic, they're a bit more problematic. Here there is a way given that can be used. Let's see, for those that kosher plastic, that's also a question if one can kosher plastic. The coffee maker must be cleaned well and not used. Remove the cup holder and do hagala or irui. Irui is pouring the boiling water over it. So that would help with a coffee maker. I would say coffee maker. It really depends on what house it is. I've seen houses where there are a bunch of kids, and the house is sometimes after Shabbos is a mess, and layers and layers and layers of leftover food and crumbs, and I'd say houses like that, I wouldn't feel comfortable using a coffee maker, as opposed to an older couple and everything is clean and they're careful with things. It could be a little bit more lenient. Okay, what about a hot water urn, a water cooler that people use for hot water on Shabbat? So for the hot water, run hot water through the water tap for 10 seconds while pouring boiling water from a kettle over the water tap. Okay, so what does that mean? So if we could dunk this in the boiling water, that would be good. But sometimes they're too big, and sometimes there's a metal. Sometimes there's an electric aspect to it, which is problematic. So here, the concept of iroi, of pouring the boiling water over it, is used. Okay, sinks. Sinks have also been a big area of question. A stainless steel sink can be koshered by iroi, meaning again, you clean it, you spray chemicals that would render any food unedible, and then you do iroi. You pour boiling water all over it. A ceramic sink is much more problematic. There are opinions that say that they can't be koshered at all. There are opinions that say that they can be. And how do you kosher it is by not using it for 24 hours and making sure it's clean and dry. And then 1 second, cannot be kosher. I'm sorry, my mistake. No opinions that the ceramic sink can be used. Yeah, I thought that there was. So yeah, according to this, it can't be used. They sell in all Jewish communities these inserts, these plastic inserts for sinks to put inside to use instead. Okay, I don't want to get too bogged down in here. Microwaves. Microwaves is also problematic. It's a question also if it can be koshered. It's better not to use it if possible. If you need to use it, there's a way here also to do to make it to kosher it by doing hagala. The microwave must be cleaned well, not used for 24 hours. The glass turntable should be removed and replaced with a new kosher for Passover surface. So that's why I'm saying it's better off not to do it, because are you really going to get a new turntable? Where do you even get a new turntable? So better off not to use it at all. Okay, refrigerators should be cleaned thoroughly. Always good to spray with some sort of spray that nullifies any food, and to also have that intent that when you're spraying, you're nullifying any food, meaning you're rendering any crumb that might be there, you're rendering it unfit for eating, for consumption. So everything should be cleaned, sprayed, and also covered. Some people cover also the refrigerator, some people don't. Okay, oven. Where is the oven? Oven also is a very, very controversial issue. Yeah, self-cleaning ovens. So if you are fortunate enough to have one of these fancy schmancy self-cleaning ovens that you push a button and it like incinerates itself, then there are those that say that they can be used. At first, you clean everything out again with the spray, remove any food, spray everything with the poison, make sure everything is not edible, and then you do the self-cleaning cycle, and you're okay. If it's not a self-cleaning oven, so the process here is to clean all the surfaces thoroughly with, again, a caustic cleanser, meaning a spray that will render any food unedible, not food anymore. Pay special attention to the thermostat, any area where food can get stuck. Don't use the oven for 24 hours before, and place the rack in the oven and turn the oven to broil, meaning turn it on its highest heat for 60 minutes. Okay. Note, the method of koshering described above is based on the ruling of Rav Aaron Kotler. However, Rav Moshe Feinstein ruled that the oven must either be koshered with a blowtorch, good luck with that, or an insert should be placed in the oven. So that's why I'm saying that this is controversial. And this is already Rav Moshe Feinstein or Rav Aaron Kotler. This machloket is, 40 years old, 50 years old, something like that. And this has been going on for many, many years. I would say that the tide has turned a bit because the ovens have gotten a little bit better, I would say. Back in the day, the ovens were... the concept was that it was hard to really clean out an oven because there were always different spots and cracks and crevices and places where chametz would get stuck. So unless you really went over every area with a blowtorch and really burnt everything out, there was concern. But the ovens of today are made a little bit more better, so that there aren't these places where things could get lost. But I'm not saying that as a halachic source, meaning it's still problematic. What I've done, by the way, in the past is there were years I had my own oven. I had a specific oven for Pesach. That oven ended up exploding one year. It stopped working, and I ended up koshering according to Rav Aaron Kotler, but I never cooked food in the oven open, meaning there's concern that something might end up falling in food which is being cooked. So one way to get around that is to only cook food in the oven with it closed. Meaning, if you're making like matzah pizza, don't make it open. Don't leave it out. Rather, cover it with like one of those tins or something like that. Okay, good. So we've done all these things. We finished all this that we should have done yesterday, today, tomorrow, which brings us up to tomorrow night. Then we said that the selling, don't forget to do the selling. If you haven't sold, do it already today. Don't wait. I had 1 year where I waited and waited, and it was too late because you can't sell to the last minute. I think they already sell at like about 11, 12 of the day before. So don't wait to the last minute. You could sell online. That's also something that has changed throughout the years. In the beginning, I remember they they I'm just checking here that everything is good. Okay. Sorry. Could somebody send me just a message to make sure that everyone is still hearing? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be sharing these things here. Okay, everything's fine. Great. Good. Okay, so we sold our chametz. Um, the chametz, any chametz that we're selling should be put in a specific section and labeled. It should be written outside that this is the chametz. It happens sometimes that you end up finding chametz, and then there's the question, oh no, I didn't put it in the chametz section. What does that mean? It's fine. Meaning, if you didn't put something in the chametz section, and you sold, it's still considered that it's sold to the goy. It's not a problem. It's okay, but still, you should set aside a specific location where all the chametz should be in that one location. It's very, very important to do that. Otherwise, you end up forgetting. It's also for the frame of, for like peace of mind, to know that all your chametz is in just one specific location, and there should be nothing else anywhere whatsoever. Okay, good. Next step, bedikas chametz. That brings us to tomorrow night. What did I want to say? Selling the chametz. No, I forgot. Anyway, okay. So bedikas chametz. So this is the real beginning of Pesach. This is exciting. This is the time to get the kids and get them to be a part of it. I always like to give them a role in the festivities. The schools sometimes, at least in America, they would give out a set of a feather, a spoon, and a bag, I think, to collect the chametz. So we do the bedikat chametz. We make a bracha, and we search for chametz. The custom is to put out chametz, so that it isn't a bracha levatala, so that it isn't a false blessing that we're searching for chametz and we don't find anything. It's good that somebody else does it. In our house, it's my wife that does it. Originally, we did 10 pieces of chametz. Also, be smart. Don't take like a challah and rip off pieces and put it all over the place. Put it in a plastic bag or something. We used to do 10. And then we had one year where we ended up finishing the bedikat chametz and realizing that we only had 9, which left us with about 2 hours of a lot of stress. Which I think in the end of the day we realized that we only put 9, not 10. Yeah, but set a certain amount, decide how many you're going to set aside, and have somebody set them aside. And remember where they put them. You're not supposed to speak during that time because it's a blessing. And once you make a blessing, you don't speak till you do whatever it is you bless, right? If I say, here we go, I actually have a drink here. Right? So when I made that blessing, I didn't speak before I drank. So same thing with the searching for the chametz. We make the blessing and we start to search. Okay, I think it says it somewhere else. We'll get to it, but I'll say it here in any case. There's a special phrase which is said, which is important to say. It's said in Aramaic, but it's very important that one should say, if you don't understand the Aramaic, it's very important to say it in your own words, which is pretty much that if there is any chametz in my house that I am not aware of, it should be considered ka'afra da'ara. It should be considered like the dust of the earth. It's an important declaration to say, which pretty much means that if I forgot anything, if anything is hidden behind some place I didn't see or anything, I'm nullifying anything. So what we did is we searched for chametz, we destroyed it everywhere. We did the final searching for chametz. We sold the chametz, and we declared any chametz that we have as ownerless. And again, this is going back to that spiritual aspect, meaning it's that addiction, that stuff that's holding us back, all all that negativity inside of us. We're trying to get it out of us in every possible way, and make sure that there's nothing there. Okay, the day before Pesach, Erev Pesach, which is Friday, is a fast for the firstborns. Erev Pesach is a fast for the firstborns, male. During why is this so? Because during the 10th plague, Makot Bechorot, all the firstborns died. And Hashem passed over the house of the Jews. To commemorate this, the firstborns fast on Erev Pesach. This is extremely challenging for any male who is also the master of the festivities. They're trying to organize everything. So a lot of people end up going to a siyum, which is the finishing of learning a tractate of Gemara or Mishnah. Many different shuls, many different communities have these. That way, if you go to that, you're able to take part in that su'udah, and then you're able to break the fast. If you can't do that, and it's extremely difficult for you, I would say don't kill yourself. Out of all the fasts, this fast is not the most stringent one. If you're able to do it, if not, and you feel sick, then don't. And I would say also it's not all or nothing, right? If you're a firstborn and you want to fast, but you can't, so don't. Sorry, pardon the expression. Don't pig out. Try and hold back a little bit from eating too much. Ma'ot chitim, otherwise known as kimcha de pische, is a tremendously important minhag, custom, to give money. Everyone should do that. I sent a link before. If you need that link, let me know. Everyone needs to give money a little bit, even if it's $1 or $2. Everyone needs to give money before Pesach to help to make sure that poor people have food for Pesach. Everyone needs to feel like a king. Everyone needs to feel like they have been redeemed on Pesach. And it is not acceptable within the community for there to be poor that don't have food. So it's everyone's obligation. It's a mitzvah. The Chafetz Chaim brings it down. That's an obligation. The Zohar also warns not to forget the poor. Otherwise, the blessing of Pesach will forget us. So remember to do this, to make sure that the poor have food. And this is something also that if we take care of the less fortunate, then God, Hashem, takes care of us. We are quite often the less fortunate. This year also there's an Erev Tavshilin, which should be done. Well, 1 second. This is no. This was not this year. Okay, right. We're not going to prepare on Shabbos anyway for the second day. Okay, so not relevant. Fine. Okay, let's move on from here. Let's go to another source. Okay. So the prohibition of chametz we spoke about, and we said that even a tiny little bit is forbidden. We're even forbidden isur hana'ah. We're forbidden to get any benefit from it, which means you can't sell it on Pesach. You can't feed it to your pet. This is an area also which a lot of Orthodox Jews they don't know about. You come into a person's house, and there's everything is covered and layered, and there's aluminum foil all over the place, and the dog food has got wheat in it, or the fish food has got I don't know what it is, but it's chametz. So this 100% is forbidden. You can't do. You're not eating it, but you're still benefiting from it. So just about every animal, there is an alternative food for them. I remember I had fish for a bunch of years, so they sell bloodworms, tolei adam. I had sheep and goats, so they sell ta'arovet for them. Every animal, dog food we got yesterday, dog food for that's also kosher for Pesach. So we went through this. We did the bitul chametz, the nullification of the ownership, the selling of the chametz, the searching, seek and destroy. If you know where that comes from, seek and destroy of the chametz. We're getting rid of it, and again, all these are spiritual aspects of searching and destroying it is within inside ourselves. We need to seek out those areas that are holding us back and destroy it. Selling it. We need to remove ownership. Also things that are ours that are leading us to bad things. Sell it. Get rid of it. And also to nullify. Nullify our connection to things that are holding us back. Okay, moving forward. Okay. Moving forward, we did all this. Great. Matzah Shmura. Okay. Arba Kossos. Are we really there? Yeah, we got there. Okay, let's go to the Shulchan Aruch. And let's see what we got here. Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, we'll go through Shulchan Aruch and then we'll do the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. There's only a few sections over here. Haggalah. We spoke about Haggalah. So basically, Haggalah, just to review, what is mostly done today, because everyone's is rich and has multiple dishes, but sometimes people like their kiddush cup to use. So that is, most often is what's used. So take your kiddush cup and clean it, soap and water, let it sit for 24 hours, and take it to your local Haggalah place, which every community has. If you don't have a Haggalah place, then take a pot which hasn't been used at least for 24 hours and make sure it's boiling, and then you could dip it in there and take it out. But it's better. That's a bit b'diavad. It's better to do to use to the people that are doing it, sort of professionally. Okay. I won't get into the whole concept of kitniot, but years ago in Ashkenazic communities, which was Europe, Galicia, what happened was the bags of rice and lentils and legumes. It was often found that there were wheat kernels inside, because the packaging companies, the packaging not companies, the mifal, the factory, it was the same machine. It was the same machine that filled up bags, of rice, of beans, of lentils, and then wheat kernels. So often it would get mixed up. So at some point, the Jews of Europe made a declaration that all of those things are considered kitniot, and we do not eat them on Pesach till today. These Sephardic communities, it could be that they were less, of these big factories, and it was less likely to occur. So they never had that declaration. They never had that reality, that problem. So till today, they do eat kitniot. No, every year there's a bunch of people try and run around, try and say that we should be able to eat kitniot, but these things are frowned upon in the Orthodox community. You can manage a week without eating, rice or hummus or these things. This is the tradition of our forefathers. And last year, somebody showed that in a package of, I think it was rice or some I forget what it was, but he found that there were some wheat kernels inside of it. Meaning, even today, it still happens. It's still possible. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's go. Dine Asiba Arba Kosot Ubo Zayin Seifim. So the Shulchan Aruch is going to start with the Seder night. Your table should be set from the daytime. So we're talking now Friday. So tomorrow is Thursday. Tomorrow night we're doing B'dikat Chametz. We didn't get to Sreifat Chametz. So Friday morning, there's this specific time which is publicized, but by that time the Chametz needs to be burnt. That is also something that's good to involve the kids to burn the chametz. And also, please be wise when it comes to burning your chametz. Back in my community, there was always some guy that would come and put like 12 big loaves of bread and like light a match and crumple up like 3 pieces of paper and then like walk away. And every year there would be like 11 and a half loaves of bread. If you're burning your chametz, burn your chametz. And from experience, chametz doesn't burn so easily. But if you've got a nice roaring flame, it'll burn like it should. But you gotta do the job. It's very disappointing to see people come and throw their bread and they leave and it's a mess and the last thing you want to see on Pesach the next day is a loaf of bread, which many years I've seen that in these areas. So again, when you burn your chametz, again you shouldn't have such a large amounts of chametz. It's better if you have that amount to flush it down the toilet. But it's the amount that you save should be from the b'dikat chametz, should be a small amount, and that should be completely burnt. It's also accustomed to save the lulav and the lulav, and to burn it also with the chametz, and it's also accustomed to save the wicks from the nerot Chanukah and the Shabbos candles from all year, like we do, and also burn that together with a nice korban of all these mitzvot of all the year together, burning biyachad. Okay, so the table should be set during the day in order to eat right away when it becomes dark. And even if he is in the Beit Medrash, he should leave because it is a commandment to hurry and eat at the Seder for the children who may fall asleep. Right? So, fathers, this isn't the time to start up conversations on the Seder night after shul. No, go home right away. I also don't like, pardon me, but I don't like minyanim that have a long hallel and a long drawn out service. Not that night. It should be, not short, but it should be, sweet and to the point. So that everyone should be able to get home in time, not too late, and the kids should still be vibrant. They should still be up and excited, and to start the Seder night, because it is mainly for the kids. This spiritual power goes most to the children. But a person shouldn't recite the Kiddush until it gets dark, right? So there are certain times where we can bring in certain things early, like Shabbat, but Pesach, we can't bring in Pesach early, because again, that specific time that we're talking about, doesn't come into the world until nighttime. The redemption time, thanks Bob Marley, redemption time doesn't enter the world until after Chatzot, until darkness falls upon the land. An attendant, servant needs to lean. Okay, meaning it doesn't matter who you are. You're rich, you're poor, you're a slave, whoever you are, everyone needs to lean, meaning to recline to the left. Anyone who is required to recline, if he eats or drinks without reclining, he has not fulfilled his obligation and is required to eat and drink again while reclining. So this is an obligation to recline. The real way, pardon me again here, but the real way to do a Seder, if you want to know, if you're asking, is on the floor. And this is the way we do it every year. No tables and chairs for us. Oh no. We do it on the floor with pillows and blankets and mattresses, and it's amazing. We lie down, on our side, almost like really like completely lying down, and it's the greatest in the world. Nothing I pardon me, but nothing I hate more than like a formal, sitting in a chair, and it's just, it's not freedom. If you've never done it before, try it. You'll never go back. I don't know how you recline on a chair. It's sort of reclining. You put a pillow over there. Okay, it's good. There are certain people that they just the thought of it is crazy for them, or they have physical ailments, or it's hard for them to do that. Fine, but if you don't have any of those and you've never done it before, try it. It's amazing. Okay, and there are those that say in our times that it's not customary, but he just says that that's not true. But we should follow it. Okay, I'm not going to get into the details over there. One who doesn't drink wine because it hurts him, or he detests it, must force himself to drink in order to fulfill the commandment of 4 cups. Okay, so this is interesting also, right? When we compare it to the spiritual concept of again trying to get rid of these things that we do, even though we shouldn't. Now we're doing something that we don't want to do, but we're forcing ourselves. It's sort of like the opposite of it. So I've heard this also. People say, "No, I don't like wine." The spiritual blessing, the power that comes from these 4 cups is tremendous. If it's so difficult, they sell wine which is like I don't know 6% alcoholic, or that's barely alcoholic, or even you could have grape juice. But you have to drink the 4 cups, and we'll get into the exact amounts, because a sip is not a sip doesn't count. A sip is not considered drinking the cup. It's a mitzvah to go after red wine. What kind of translation is this? To go after red wine? Mitzvah lachzor achar yain adom. Okay, it's a mitzvah to try and get red wine. Im ein halavan meshubach mimeno. If the white wine is not better. So there was a period of time where the Jews stopped having red wine in their Seder. Does anyone know why? I'll take a moment to drink and catch my breath. Does anyone know why the Jewish communities, for a period of time, a number of years, they stopped having red wine at their Seders? Where are we? Anyone? No one knows? We're listening? Okay, so there were blood libels. For many years, the Christians claimed that the Jews needed to shecht, to kill a Christian kid to get their blood to make matzahs, or some crazy thing like that. And their proof was that they drink the blood at the Seder. So in order to get away from those libels, there was a period of time where the Jews had only white wine, so that nobody would be accused of drinking blood of Christians. Yuck. Okay, even a poor person who is sustained through charity must sell his clothing, or sell or rent himself. Imagine that. Rent myself in order to buy wine for the 4 cups. So that's amazing. It's amazing. He needs to experience being like like freedom, and here he needs to like sell himself to experience that. Meaning that the power of these 4 cups are so powerful. It's just something that we need to understand. It's not we're not commemorating. It's so much deeper than that. The power of these 4 cups is so powerful that look what the Torah, what the halacha is telling us, that you even need to rent yourself. You need to sell even your clothing. You have your shirt. You have to sell your own shirt off your back to get a little bit of wine. And we're all spoiled today, but unfortunately there were times where this was a reality. Hey, look, just a generation or so ago, in the Holocaust, people couldn't even sell their, you could sell your clothes, you could rent yourself out, and there still was no wine. So yeah, there were periods of time. So we should at least be fortunate of what we have today. Women are also obligated with the 4 cups in all the mitzvot of the night. So sometimes there are certain specific mitzvot that do not apply to women. So the Shulchan Aruch goes out of its way to specifically say that it does apply to women here. Mitzvah lechalek letinokot. It's a mitzvah to give out to the kids. It says here egozim, walnuts, so that they should see and that they should ask. I would say that this has been translated, because you give kids walnuts today, they get upset at you. But this has been translated today to get them involved in the Seder. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. Even if you search on YouTube and go on all different Jewish sites like Eshet Torah and Chabad and or Sameach, and there's loads and loads of information and ways to get kids involved in the Leil HaSeder, because they need it. Sometimes the parents are so involved in the mitzvot and getting everything done that the kids sort of they get lost, and by the time you realize that, hey, the night is all about them, you look and you see they're already cuddled up in a few pillows and fast asleep, and go try and wake them up is not going to happen. So it's important from the beginning to really get them active and involved and excited, and that way they'll stay with you for the Seder. We pour for him the first cup, meaning it's the custom not to pour your own cup. Rather, somebody pours a cup for you, and we make a bracha of the Shechianu. If it falls out on Shabbos, which it does this year, one should say Vayechulu, which is the Kiddush for Shabbos. If it falls out on Motzei Shabbos, it doesn't. Then we say the Havdalah. Actually, it does in Chutz La'aretz, in America, anywhere else. There is the partial Havdalah. Hamavdil ben Kodesh the Kodesh. Is it said tomorrow night? I don't know. Not tomorrow night. Saturday night. Because no, I don't think you make Havdalah. No, it isn't. Might be something that's made. I don't know. I've been in Israel already for 20-something years. I have to double check. Okay, moving forward. If one wants to drink many cups in between, above and beyond the 4, he has permission to do so. Nevertheless, it's proper not to drink between the first and second cups if there is no great need, so that he won't get drunk and be prevented from performing the Seder and reading of the Haggadah. Then we pour the second cup. After the first cup, I forgot, it's a tradition to say out or sing the list, the order of the Seder. That's pretty much how the Seder starts, meaning we come home from davening, everyone sits down at the Seder table. It's a custom for the married men to wear a kittel, unless you're in your first year of marriage. That's the custom. And the Seder starts with some people read and some people sing. Kadesh urchatz karpas yachatz magir achza motzi matzah. That's how it starts. The first thing is the Kiddush. After he finishes the Kiddush and he drinks, then already they pour the second cup. Okay, pour the second cup, so that the children will ask, why are we pouring the second cup before the meal? Right? We want to get the kids involved. We want to get them asking. We want them to be a part, because we want them to to get involved in the Seder so that we could tell them the whole story of the Exodus, the whole story of Hashem redeeming us from bondage, which again will make the connection with them that if you need a redeeming from a bondage, that is what Hashem is there for. If the son has no wisdom, the father teaches him. If he has no son, his wife should ask him. If he does not have a wife, he should ask himself. This is the four questions, right? Or why this is the why we're pouring the second cup. Even scholars should ask, the Manish Tana. So the Manish Tana is also an ancient custom to start from the youngest child. The youngest child asks first and sings, and then you go to the next, and then the next, and next, and then everyone asks together. Important not to rush the Seder. Take your time, enjoy, make sure you say every word, because again, it's not just words. It's not commemorating. I pity the fool that says to me commemorating. It's every word has kedusha. Every word has spiritual bounty and blessing in it. So really take your time with everything, every word that we say. And then hayinu, when we say avadim hayinu, we were slaves to Paro. He returns the Seder plate that is on that are on it the matzah before him, and they read the entire Haggadah. When he reaches the matzah, he raises it, he lifts it up to show everyone reclining that so that they'll be attached to the mitzvah. Okay. Some say also similarly when he says the maror, and when he reaches when he reaches also to therefore everyone should lift up the cup until the end of Gal Yisrael, which is in the Haggadah. Okay, and then when we get to the different plagues, we pour a little bit from the cup. There are different customs. Some take a finger and dip a finger, and then they dip on a napkin. There are those that say you shouldn't have a white napkin because it's coloring. Okay, if you want to be strict, get a napkin which has already is a red color or any type of color, or you could just dip, sprinkle into a plate. It doesn't need to be in a napkin. So for all the different plagues, he pours a little bit of the wine, and also in the end, he does it. Okay. Then the second cup he drinks. There's no bracha is made because we already made the bracha. I'm sorry, 1 second. Drink the second cup and do not make the first bracha, nor an after bracha over it, for we only say Borei Pri Hagafen over the cup of the Kiddush and the cup of Birkat Hamazon. Okay, so we don't say a Geffen again. That we only say on the first one and the one on Birkat Hamazon. Okay, moving forward. After the Afikomen, one should not eat anything. This is an important thing also, which a lot of people forget. One may not eat it in two places because it's better if it's okay. 1 second. Yeah, so after the Afikomen, the Afikomen should be the dessert, and a person shouldn't eat anything after. Shelo lishtot achar dalit kosot. Right, and also after a person finishes the 4 kosot, one shouldn't drink. If you're thirsty, drink water, right? But don't try not to drink too much after. You don't need to be too strict with that. More strict with eating after the afikoman. Okay, and then already here we're up to the Omer. Good, we're moving forward. So we have a couple of more things, and then we're finished. And we'll get to questions if people have. Kitzer Shulchan Aruch. Okay. All right, let's start over here. Do your best to get choice wine. So yeah, if you haven't gotten wine yet, get a nice bottle of wine. Um, be careful from wine which has too much, which is sweet wine, because the sugar gives a horrible headache. A good tip, if that does happen to you, honey is great for hangovers, specifically red wine, because honey helps. I don't know what it does, but honey helps absorb or helps deal with all the sugar in the brain, which is causing the headache. So these like semi-sweet wines or even dry wines, not too dry, like a Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, are good wines for the 4 cups. But it's good to get a nice bottle of wine. If there's one time of year to get a really nice bottle, this is the time. And I would say get a bottle from Israel. Don't get an Italian or French or anything like that. Get a wine that is grown from grapes in Eretz Hakodesh. There are many delicious wines that grow here. Again, if red wine is available, get red wine. If not, white, unless the white is better. I have never heard of a white wine which is better. So basically, today everyone uses red wine. It reminds us of the blood which flowed and how Paro slaughtered innocent Jewish children. Okay, and backwards and ignorant countries where people made slanderous accusations. This is right a couple 150 years ago, something like that. It's still today. So the custom was still going on. So Jews refrained from using red wine on Pesach. So that happened back then. The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, of course, is Rav Shlomo Gansfried. Rav Shlomo Gansfried was my great grandfather. Yeah, he was from Ungvar, Hungary, and yeah, I have the zchut to be connected to him. For the first dipping, which is called the karpas, many people follow the custom of using parsley, but it's better to use celery. Look at that. Yoter lakachad cellular. Cellular. It sounds like cellular. Cellular. Celery. So that's the custom today. Sheyesh lo tam tov, which has a good taste, which when it's raw. I've never heard of anyone taking parsley, but I guess it exists. I trust him. Some people use radishes. I've heard of that, but the main custom is to take celery. For the maror, the bitter herbs, it's custom to take horseradish. That's what everyone uses. They sell the big horseradish. You need to chop it up. It should be done before Shabbos. It's a problem. You can't do it on Shabbos. It needs to be grated because it's very sharp. You should take care that it doesn't lose its sharpness, its charif, before. It should be grated when you return home from the synagogue. On Shabbos, it's forbidden to do that. So you should do it beforehand and keep it covered up. The horseradish of today, it's so strong, it doesn't lose its strong taste. You do it, a few hours beforehand, and keep it covered with plastic saran wrap, and you're fine. However, it's preferable to use chazeres lettuce, which is easier to eat. Okay, well, there are two different types. There's the chazeret, and then there's the maror. So we use also the lettuce for one and the maror for the other. Okay, good. Moving forward, seeing if there's anything else we didn't say. No, charoses. Charoses must have a thick consistency. So the charoses is the mortar that reminds us of the mortar which our forefathers had to make the bricks. When you're ready to dip the maror in it, you should add a little bit of wine or vinegar to make it soft to represent the blood, and for the additional reason that it should become fit to dip something into. Okay, the charoses should be made from fruits that symbolize the Jewish people. For example, figs, for it is said, all right, I'm not going to read everything, but they're all different. This is his recipe for charoset. Basically, charoset is apples and chopped up walnuts. Sometimes people use chopped up almonds and dates, and that's basically it. And then cinnamon, and then a sweet wine. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay. Um, yeah, normally, I mean, he says that normally we don't go all out when it comes to food and also the finery and because of the Churban Beit HaMikdash, but on Pesach, we're allowed to really put out our fanciest everything we have and have a couple of different dishes. You should prepare your seat at the table when it's still daytime with the nicest pillows you can afford, fanciest pillows on me you can afford, placing them in such a way which you can recline and lean on the left hand side. And remember, I said that do it on the floor. Even a left handed person should recline on the left hand side. Why do we recline on the left? Because it has to do with what's the windpipe, the trachea, that the food will the food pipe is the food pipe. The food goes down on the left hand side is where the food goes down. So it makes no difference if a person is a righty or a lefty. You should also prepare the Seder plate while it's still day, meaning, yes, everything should be 100% prepared beforehand, meaning you come home from shul, you put on your kittel, and you start your Seder without delay. Everything should be set. Even the salt water. I saw every year they people put on Facebook and Twitter that the Jewish grocery stores sell salt water, kosher salt water. But yeah, that should be prepared ahead of time. Everything should. The kos for Eliyahu Hanavi should be prepared ahead of time. Okay. So yeah, although during the year it's best to be moderate for the tableware for the Beis Hamikdash, but on Pesach it's like it's this special day. It's this special day of freedom, of breaking out of bondage, where we don't need to hold back. There's no holding back. There's no suffering. There's no mourning. It's a day of rejoicing. It's a day of specialness where it's everything is really on another level. Okay, so the Seder plate is arranged in the manner you place 3 matzahs on the Seder plate, you cover them with a beautiful cloth, you place the shank bone on the right side, the egg on the left, the maror over which you say the bracha, you place in the center, the charoses you place on below the shank bone. Okay, this basically everyone knows. It's our custom to wear a kittel, which should also be prepared while it's still during the day. This is an important thing. I think one year I realized that my kittel had a stain on it, and we didn't take care of it ahead of time. It was too late. A son at his father's table is required to recline, but a student in the presence of his rebbe is not required to recline. Yeah, so that's a famous section from the Shulchan Aruch that just to show the reverence that a rebbe has for a person, even above and beyond a father, to a certain extent. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop here. Just go back. There's one other thing I wanted to see, and I think we'll go to questions. Okay, yeah. Okay, so one of the most special moments, really, in the whole year, is the eating of the matzah. Um, I don't want to mention names, but I know somebody that literally cries every year when they take the bite of the matzah. That first bite of the matzah, when you make the blessing and it's a mitzvah. It's such a spiritual, holy spiritual moment that it's like ecstasy. But a person needs to know how much they need to eat in order to fulfill the mitzvah. Also, when it comes to eating the maror, and the wine. So let's get to the matzah. And we need to eat a kazayas. So it's a historical disagreement of what exactly a kazayas is. And there are different opinions exactly how much it is. Of course, Chazon Ish is known as being very stringent. So he has the largest amount, which is 50 cc's. Let's see here, if we can see what that means. What do we have? We have fluid ounces. Yeah, okay. 1.7 fluid ounces. 1 fluid ounces. No, I'm not sure this is the same. Let's see, he has a picture. Yeah, okay. So this is the size of a matzah, according to Rav Moshe Feinstein. You pretty much see the size, which is almost like a whole piece of matzah of the square matzah. And the amount of the maror that needs to be taken is also, you can see these amounts. I literally have a scale, and I take the lettuce and I weigh it out. We go by 30, so 30 cc's. So we weigh it, and to make sure, and we prepare it ahead of time. Your average Kiddush cup also should have a revius. There are smaller Kiddush cups that are a bit problematic, but it's important to know to measure, once and for all, to see how much your Kiddush cup holds, to make sure that is enough. For the first 3 cups, one must drink more than half the revius. One should drink the entire 4th cup so as to be able to recite the bracha achrona. Okay, it's good to drink the entire cup if it's possible. If not, he should drink more. He should drink more than half of revius. Okay, I think Chag Sameach. Who's that? All right, I think we're going to go to questions. I think we went through everything, more or less. If we didn't go through anything, so somebody could ask. Okay, so how do I stop the screen? Stop streaming. Ah, there we go. Okay. Good. Okay, so I'm sorry. Somebody wants to say something? Say that again? Ah, right. Okay. All right. Good idea. So I'm gonna shut off my my camera just for a minute. I'll give everyone an opportunity to write their questions or any comments that they have, and we'll come back in about 2-3 minutes with your questions, and I'll see you all soon. Yum bum bum. Hanesha Amala. Yai my boy. Okay, we are back. We are back. And I'm about to check out your questions. Turn back on my camera. Where am I? There I am. Hey, guy. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we got. I asked the rabbi. I'm the rabbi. Question. Why was this black? I don't know. Okay. Let me put this here. Okay. Ask the rabbi. Kitniot is chametz, true or false? False. Kitniot is not chametz. So we don't say that something that is kitniot is chametz. Rather, we are strict, stringent, and careful, and we set it aside. So technically, it doesn't really need to be sold. If you want to sell it, you could sell it, but it's certainly not chametz. If it's chametz, it comes with its own set of restrictions. Now I'm going to share with you something which is extremely embarrassing. Please don't tell anyone. But I think it was my first year of marriage that I was, tremendously careful with Pesach, and I also decided that I don't want to sell chametz. I want to get rid of all my chametz. So we got all of our chametz and we put it in the freezer, and we were careful with everything. And I think like the second day of Pesach, the second day of Pesach, we realized that the chametz was still in the freezer and we didn't sell it. Yeah, I called my Rav right away, and you should know. I mean, I'm embarrassing myself, but this is a no. This is something that should not happen. This is a serious avera. This was 22, 23 years ago. It happened once in my life, never happened again. I take the blame, and I'm just embarrassing myself to let you know. You gotta be careful. But I spoke to my Rav, and my Rav said, technically you need to burn it, The law is if you find a chametz on Pesach, you're supposed to burn it. But he said, you got to be realistic, and you start in the community that I lived in Israel at the time. If I took out chametz and started burning it, it would cause like a riot. So he said I forget what he said. To flush it. No, I think to put it in a public garbage. Yeah. So technically, if you say kitniot is chametz, then you have to burn it or throw it away. But that's not the reality. Rather, we're just careful with it and we don't eat it. That's it. So technically, you don't even need to sell it. Just Ashkenazim are careful not to eat it. I guess when Mashiach comes along, he'll clear that one up for us. Can someone use grape juice? A quality one like Tirosh, not a Tropi, instead of wine if he has a problem with alcohol? Absolutely. We spoke about Pesach being the time to overcome addictions. I don't know if you heard of a great tzaddik named Rabbi Dr. Avram Twersky. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the greatest Jews in the past 50, 100 years. The man was a tremendous tzaddik, and he was nifter this past year. He was a world-renowned expert in addictions and substance abuse. He wrote, I think, like 80 different books. Guy was a genius. But he was like a world-renowned expert in substance abuse. And he wrote a Haggadah comparing. He said that substance abuse is a lack of spirituality. That the person has an emptiness in them, a lacking, and they try and fill it with drugs or alcohol. But as any alcoholic or drug addict can tell you, it doesn't work in the long run. So the real solution to that to fulfilling or filling up that empty feeling is spirituality, which is what really needs to be treated. So if Pesach is about overcoming one's addiction, and if one is going through a period of time where wine is a no-no for them, so absolutely stay away from the wine and buy yourself the fancy schmanciest bottle of grape juice you can buy. Yes. Can someone destroy their chametz by flushing it down the toilet instead of burning? Depends when. Yeah, there's I didn't mention it before, but there is an issue about flushing bread down the toilet. Historically, that's a no-no in the Jewish world because, and I'm not going to get into it, but there is a certain type of idol worship which is connected to that in a certain way. So that's been a custom of not to do that. But there are certain times when that's the only way. For example, when Pesach falls out on Motzei Shabbos, what are we going to do with our chametz? So the only possible way is to flush it down the toilet. So that is an option. But when it comes to the sreifat chametz, there is a specific custom of burning the chametz. Now, it's very important in general, whenever there's a custom, stay with the custom, because so many times these customs have specific reasons that we have no idea what it is, but it's powerful, and it's intended, and it does things. So if there's a possibility of burning it, burn it. If you're asking because, I don't know, you live in an apartment building and, anyone that's caught, burning things, it gets, a $500 fine and, some crazy fancy community like that or some reason, okay, I understand. But if, you just don't like burning or it's going to cause a mess, no. If that's the reality, then only, make sure you only save a tiny amount of bread, only a few little pieces. And, a controlled burning is not going to make too much of a mess. So again, when it comes to the Sreifat Chametz, which is this year Friday, it's best to burn if it's at all possible. If you can't, then yeah, you could flush it down the toilet. Okay. Alternative, the other ways of getting rid of chametz instead of burning or selling it. You could put it in acid. What else can you do? I don't know. Give it to a dog, right? Although if it's already on Pesach, you can't do that because you're deriving benefit from it. If it's ahead of time, yeah. If we were talking about erev Pesach, you could give it to a dog. You could eat it, right? Eat up all your chametz. But yeah, I don't know how else you could get rid of it. What are the last 2 days of Passover called? What do you do on the last night of Passover? Okay, so, hello? I'm sorry, is that a question? Okay. So in Chutz La'aretz, the last 2 days of Pesach are Yom Tovim, and it's known as Shvi Shel Pesach. And Shvi Shel Pesach is a special day in itself. And Shvi Shel Pesach is a day which was celebrated in the Hasidic world, the Baal Shem Tov, where he started a tradition called the Sudat Mashiach, which is a very powerful and lovable tradition to drink four cups of wine on the last day of Pesach. Chabad are the ones today that follow this very, very much. Every Chabad community around the world does this. They have a Sudat Mashiach. You don't need to be a Chabadnik to celebrate it. I'm connected to Chabad. I don't exclusively consider myself Chabad. I'm very much connected to the Baal Shem Tov, and I do this. I certainly celebrate this. It's the time where you have a meal. Around the time where one has the Sudat Shlishit, which is like the third meal on Shabbos. So you have a meal where you drink wine, 4 cups. You don't need to be as stringent as you were during the 4 cups of Leila Seder. But certainly try and have 4 cups or 4, parts of 4 cups, and sing. What we do is we sing songs of Mashiach. It's a time of yearning. It's a time of calling out and praying to Hashem that the Messiah should come. The world is enough of a mess. There's enough suffering out there, and the time has come to send the deliverer, to send the one that will put things back into the proper order. Okay, from Adam, a question that was probably supposed to be here. How much chametz do I need to put in my house for doing the searching chametz mitzvah? Is there a limit or a minimum? Let me see if he wrote about it. I don't think so. Let me see if the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, if he says anything about it. It might be that there's technically, according to the halacha, a person is only liable for eating chametz or for seeing chametz, which is also forbidden, if it's a kazayit. Right? If it's what did you say, 30 cc's, 33 cc's, if it's that amount. If it's less, it's forbidden rabbinically, but not biblically, and the difference is huge. If he did it intentionally, biblically speaking, it's karet. Karet is he is technically cut off from his people. And the punishment of karet is that either he dies young, or lo aleinu, his kids die young, and it's also sort of spiritually cut off from his people. I mean, if a person doesn't keep Passover and they eat bread, they're cut off from their people. They're no longer technically considered a Jew, technically. And they lose certain statuses of being considered a Jew. Obviously they can repent, although repenting for that it's not just as simple as, oh God, I'm sorry, and please forgive me. There's more, spiritual work that needs to be done for that. So again, the amount that needs to be eaten is a kazayit. So I'm not sure if when it comes to the b'dikat chametz, he specifically needs to put out a kazayit. I don't know. I don't think a person needs to be that careful with it. If you want, you can, but I don't think it's something. And we're only doing it so that the bracha is not considered a bracha levatala, even though technically it's not so much of a bracha levatala, because we are still looking for chametz. Well, perhaps you could say that it's not considered if it's less than a kazayit. I'm looking. I don't want to take up too much time. I would have to just simply look it up. I'll try and get back to you and answer you right here in this exact section. Good question. Okay. Anytime you stump the rabbi, it's a good question. Okay. Matzah with chocolate or tuna. That reminds me. Egg matzah. Egg matzah has been mentioned over and over every year. Rabbanim, yell. Egg matzah is not acceptable. Certainly not for the Seder night. Egg matzah is a bit questionable. Certainly for the Seder night. Certainly for eating for the mitzvah of eating matzah, and shouldn't be used. Unless a person is sick or very, very old, or they can't digest it. Matzah with chocolate or tuna is completely fine. Chocolate, as long as it's kosher for Pesach, is fine. Tuna also, if it's kosher for Pesach. There is some tuna which I think is kitniot, but there is tuna which is not kitniot, so that's completely fine. There are people that get into the topic of gebrachs. Gebrachs is a very interesting sugya, or what's known as matzah shruya. And it goes like this. The question is, if I take my matzah and I put it in water, or I put it in my chicken soup, my hot chicken soup, am I allowed to do that? Now, anyone that's ever celebrated Pesach knows that, here we go, matzah, a lot of times if you look at your matzah, it's, if I were to take my matzah and go like this and look at my hands, it looks like I have flour on my hands. And if you look like inside these like cracks and holes here, it looks like there's like a little bit of flour left over from the cooking. So now if I take that and put it in hot chicken soup, or I make like a matzah pizza. Matzah pizza is, taking this, putting, tomato sauce. Where'd my hand go? Putting tomato sauce and mozzarella cheese on it. So that's like adding, a liquid to it. So how is that not making bread, right? If there's leftover, flour and I'm adding water to it, how is that not turning it into bread? So that's the concept of what's known as gebrachts. Or the other thing that the other word that I said, matzah, I forget, gebrachs or matzah shruya. So the interesting thing is that there's no real source for it. Meaning, even though in your head you would want to say like, yeah, obviously, but there's no real source that says that is a problem. Meaning, according to the halacha, once you make your matzah and it's a matzah, it's done. Anything that's left over is not considered like flour. It's not considered like, it can't be awoken and turned into flour again and starting, it doesn't exist. So on one hand, you have people that say, you have people that say there are no sources, nothing in the Mishnah, nothing in the Gemara. I don't know if there's anything in the Rishonim, but there are no old sources that mention it. So, eat it, have fun, crumple your matzah in your chicken soup and have some fun. Or you make your matzah pizza. I don't think they had matzah pizza back in the time of the Gemara, or chocolate or tuna, whatever you want to do. Other people say no. It's like obviously that it's leftover flour. So I don't know. Till today, there are people that don't eat it, and there are people that do. Usually, every hotel advertises non-gebrachts, and it's become a thing today. When I was younger, it wasn't a thing as much. I'm not that old. I'm 40, 48. When I was young, it wasn't. It was less of an issue. People would eat it, and nobody had a problem with it. Nobody, for the most part. But today, it's been a thing. Okay. Matzah with chocolate or tuna, matzah with chocolate or tuna. I see, serious question. I see this is a big thing. Not so much. Okay. Don't worry, we'll learn from your mistakes. So thanks for disclosing something embarrassing. Yeah. Don't tell anyone about it. Ah, I remember the feeling when I saw that. Like my whole insides like fell. Like I was so careful that year. Everything. I checked everything. I was like crazy. I think that year was the strictest year of my life because it was like right fresh out of yeshiva, and I was living in an ultra Haredi community, and everything was like my first year of marriage. I mean, it was like like scraping the windowsill. It was like, yeah, I think it was maybe a lesson from Hashem. Sometimes that happens. There's a story like that of a Jew that went crazy to prepare for Pesach, and then at the end of the day, he found out that the well that he had been taking his water for all of Pesach, that there was a loaf of bread that fell in there, and he cried out to Hashem, and Hashem, he got a message that he never prayed that he should be successful. So that's an important part also within all of our koshering our house. For Pesach, it's important to pray also that we should have a chag kasher v'sameach. Gebrochts. Okay, that's a statement, or you just want me to say it? Gebrochts. Gesundheit to you too. Okay, what do you prefer though? Also Nutella or hashachar? My wife is like her whole childhood was matzah and not the Nutella, the hashachar. Like for her, that was Pesach, just having matzah and that chocolate spread. Yeah, although she when she was young, they only had the kitniot with kitniot, and she was Ashkenazi. She didn't really know that when she was young. Yeah. Do Hasidic Jews celebrate Passover different than Ashkenazi, Orthodox, or modern Jews? Okay, so Hasidic Jews are usually more careful with gebrachts. They're more careful not to eat the matzah shruya, the matzah that is mixed with water. They're certainly careful with that, and they first of all to fix your question. Different from Ashkenazic or Orthodox or modern Jews. So Ashkenazi means that you are a Jew, that your grandparents or great-grandparents came from Europe, specific areas of Europe. That's what it means to be Ashkenazi, as opposed to Jews that came from Sfarad, which was, I think, Spain. Am I right? Yes. Okay. So Ashkenazic Jews, which are the majority today. That's also where the Holocaust was. Galicia, Ashkenazi Jews are Hasidim. They're Litvish. It's not like you're Hasidic or Ashkenazi, right? So it's the question needs to be changed. Do Hasidic Jews celebrate different than Ashkenazi? That doesn't fit. Or Orthodox. So Orthodox pretty much means that you are a proper Jew. following Judaism according to the way Judaism is supposed to be followed. Within Orthodoxy, there are a bunch of different branches. It's up to the debate if all those branches are 100% kosher or which one is the best. Now, within Orthodoxy, you have Hasidic, you have modern, you have the Kippa Sruga, which is the like the right wing sort of settlers, the knitted kippas. You have the Litvish, Yeshivish. You have many different branches within Orthodox Jews. But what makes an Orthodox Jew is basically someone who goes by the Torah, as opposed to different branches that created different branches of Judaism, Reform and Conservative, which isn't really connected to Torah Judaism. Okay, so Hasidic, they usually tend to be a little bit more strict in many areas. So when it comes to some of the stringencies, they'll be more likely to follow them. Okay, hello Chaim, hello. So sugar is kosher for Pesach, right? Yes, although you shouldn't use the same sugar you've used before. Put it away, buy yourself a new sugar, because something could have fallen into it. There's a question about marijuana, if that is kosher for Pesach, and if that is kitniot also for those that eat it. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. The tionim, okay. Sugar. All right. I see the class is getting. I see the class needs to be dismissed to go to recess. Why do people use beetroots instead of lamb bone for their Seder plates? So beetroots won't be used instead of lamb bone. Beetroots will be used instead of celery. And it's just a custom. Some people, instead of celery, used potatoes. When you take Judaism and you take Jewish communities that were spread all around the world, there were certain communities where they didn't have these things. Celery, you didn't have it. I don't know what country you were in, but it didn't exist. So they had, potatoes, they had beets, whatever they had. And for many years, that became the custom, and that became the thing, and it was passed down. So till today, for example, say my great-grandfather, was beets. So then he taught my father beets, and then I learned, I ate, beets. And it just became like the tradition, what we were connected to, and stayed till today. Many have the custom not to use sugar for Pesach. Always good to check your family's minhagim. What? Really? Not to use sugar for Pesach? I didn't hear that. Yeah, I see it right here. First of all, I would say in general, everyone could have sugar. It's fine. I see only within Chabad there is a question about the Rebbe Rashab, that Chabad sometimes have their own minhagim. It's renowned Chabad custom to avoid eating all processed foods on Pesach as much as possible. Yeah. So the person that asked before about Hasidim and Pesach, yeah, Chabad are notorious on Pesach that they eat like nothing. They're very, very strict. I don't know why, but they're very strict not to eat many, many different things on Pesach for Chabad. Chocolate. There's no source for the statement that the Rebbe ate chocolate on Pesach. He would, however, eat sugarless chocolate during the year. Okay. Salt. I don't know. Okay, so the Rebbe Rashab avoided using sugar due to the suspicion that a chametz ingredient was used in the boiling process. Or, alternatively, the workers would dip their breads into it, and there is thus a suspicion that a crumb of chametz remained in the sugar. There's a story with the brother-in-law of the Rebbe Rashab who owned a sugar production plant, and had made a specially supervised batch of sugar to be used by the Rebbe Rashab on Pesach. Despite that, even throughout the year, there was no suspicion of chametz in the sugar. When the Rebbe Rashab was brought the sugar cubicle, his face became stern with concern, and he followed to break open one of the cubicles, and unexpectedly a wheat kernel fell out. Okay, so according to halacha, you could have sugar; it's not a problem if you are a Chabad and you follow the Chabad custom. Ask your local Chabad rabbi. It could be that they're strict not to. Okay. מה העדות והחוקים והמשפטים אשר ציווה השם אלוקינו אתכם ולא אתה? אין מפטיר אחרי יפה. Oh, wait, my Rav told me that yesterday. Okay. Yeah, Chabad eats only matzahs. And, yeah. Okay. I see the class needs to be dismissed. Look at that. We did, what time did we start? 11, 12, what? We did about 2 hours. That's pretty good. Chabad gang. Anything else, fellas? Or I think we're going to go. I wish you all a Chag Kasher v'Sameach. Yeah, so the last thing, I'll just finish off like this and say, yeah, remember that point, that Pesach, specifically Leila Seder, gives us that spiritual blessing of starting anew, of redeeming ourselves, of breaking free from the things that are holding us back, of connecting to godliness. And the Leila Seder, like when the Shulchan Aruch said that normally we refrain a bit, normally we hold back from showing all of our joy because of the Churban Beis Hamikdash, but on Pesach, on Leila Seder, we don't. So same thing with us. Don't hold back anything with yourself. Give everything to the Leila Seder. You know, scream, shout, jump, sing, dance, do somersaults. Whatever it is, give everything. Put yourself 100% into the Leil HaSeder, and it brings blessing. It brings blessing. Okay. Anyone else? Anything? I think we're going to end. How do you read the Haggadah? On turns? So everyone needs to read the Haggadah. You could take turns as long as it's best that everyone else reads along with them, reads along quietly. Technically, there's a concept of if you hear it from somebody else, that it counts for yourself in certain situations, but it's best that everyone reads the Haggadah for themselves. That's the best way to do it. What we do is I'm the leader of the family, so I read it out loud, and those that want to read it by themselves, they do so. Those that are too young or for whatever reason can't, they don't, and they're yotzei by me, meaning I have in mind that I'm reading it for everyone else. But it's best that everyone reads it by themselves. That's the best way to do it. Yeah, and again, to read every word, take your time. Don't, obviously not to say something, but if you're at a Seder and there's a guy there that's like, when are we eating? I'm hungry, I want to eat it. A guy is completely missing the point of like everything. Here you are and you're getting it's like you're going to a great wizard and you're getting a special power that has tremendous strength to it. And the guy there is like, when am I going to eat some food? And it's completely missing the whole concept. If you think you're going to be, it's going to affect you, that you're not going to be able to focus. So eat beforehand. Eat. You're allowed to eat all the fruit and all the vegetables you want beforehand. Obviously, you don't eat matzah. From now till the Leila Seder, we don't eat matzah. I'm careful, and a lot of people are careful not to eat it the whole entire year, not to eat matzah. But certainly from now till then, don't eat matzah. Obviously, you don't eat bread from Friday morning, basically. But you're supposed to go into Shabbos and Yom Tovim with an appetite. But because we don't end up eating till about 9, 10 or something like that, if you're going to be cranky, and it's going to affect you. So make sure you eat a little bit beforehand, especially with kids. Also, kids that is hard for them. Uh, Let them eat. It's not worth it that if you have a kid and he's hungry and he's going to be crying and fetching the whole time. Give him beforehand, even during the time you're reading the Haggadah, give him some gefilte fish or some soup or whatever beforehand. So that way you go through all the reading of the Haggadah. You go through it with strength, with gusto, and all the specific things that you do, the maror, the spiritually connecting to the maror and the charoset and the sandwich of the Hillel sandwich. I don't know about you, but I get so high at that night, with the wine and the specific things that you eat. If you tap into it and you tune into it, you get so high. It takes you to places that you really the neshama is in ecstasy. Yeah, see that matcha right over there. I want to take a little bit. That's what you say, though, huh? Kasher is obvious. Chad kasher. Is there a specific thing to read the Haggadah specifically in the language printed? Yes, absolutely. You should read it in Hebrew. If you're just a beginning Baal Tshuva and you can't, then okay, read it in English. Although there are certain things you have to say. I think you have to say Pesach Matzah Maror. You need to say. The blessings you need to say, but it is better to say it in Hebrew. And learn. If you don't know the language that well, it's not an excuse. Learn it. It's if your heart is in the right place, God will bless you. It won't be that difficult. Trust me, I've seen miracles. I've seen guys like come off the streets that know almost nothing of Torah, and within like a couple of weeks, learning Gemara, learning Aramaic. It's where the heart is. If the heart wants it, then God blesses, and a person manages. So if you really want to learn the Hebrew, do it. Okay, last question, Dr. Dreidel, Chavod. Dr. Dre.